I was quite lucky because I came from a really supportive, loving, and to be fair, like they weren't specific, like they didn't specifically adhere to certain cultural practices that I know that a lot of like my friends, for example, did. But observing and I guess dealing with the repercussions of what friends and other family members would go through, the one thing that I really struggled to reconcile as a child, and it actually, to be quite honest, made me question whether I wanted to be a part of this, really overbearing culture that's just making people, especially women, feel ashamed. And the thing that I really struggled with was that women were judged for almost anything and everything that they did. And it was, it could literally be a woman going out to a bar and having the best time of her life.
Yep.
Then coming home and then she's slut shamed.
Yep.
Everything under the sun. And I really, really struggled with that notion of constantly shaming and judging women for their choices. And there may be times where women and men go through and make choices that probably wasn't the right decision for themselves, but that's something for themselves to reconcile. And that's something for them to live with and deal with. And I think that adding more community shame and then bringing in cultural practices into why it's a shameful thing and judgment, it just makes it worse. And so growing up as a woman, I think I really struggled in particular seeing women being judged and shamed and it just not treated as equally. Particularly men were allowed to go out whenever they want. I mean, they had Kava sessions. and if girls even went out, past a particular time, it suddenly all the judgment starts arising. And I think that that's something that I implore all Polynesians to just stop doing. Even if they're doing something that you don't agree with, that's for them to reconcile and that's for them to deal with. Because in some point of our lives, we're all going to do something that other people don't agree with. I mean, there are some people who don't even agree with me being a lawyer, which is just insane to me. But I mean, is that stop me from being a lawyer? No. And so I just think that, that would probably be the number one thing that I really struggled with as a woman, seeing other women go through the judgment and shame and seeing the repercussions of that play out in their lives. It was really sad actually for me to witness that.
Yeah, and it's me and my own experience just listening to you. I remember as a Tongan guy, like we didn't really have any. Our parents didn't really care what we did. Like I could just go, come back. They don't care. But it's funny, you're not aware of it growing up. It's like you're like, I didn't realize my cousins and my female cousins and my sisters were struggling with that, because we were, the guys were living in their own world in the household, and then the girls were living in their own world. And also, when I grew up in Tongan, the girls lived inside the house and the guys lived outside the house. Like we never, we never we weren't allowed to be be in the same room. And so I don't know if that's a cultural thing that always happens a lot. So, but now, looking hindsight, and now having conversations now and with women on my podcast talking about that, one of the main things they talk about is just they just feel they feel like so much pressure. That's the word they always use. Like just feel like this pressure, like they have to be perfect, and if they go outside of that, and I see a lot of times they feel like they can never be themselves, and that's why I feel like there's a lot of them suffer with mental health and depression.